putting creatives at the forefront of my business is going to be top priority for me, because I always want to be creative, and I also always want to be creating, because business is just the part that makes me money. But what I'm passionate about is the art side.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gumroad Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Michaelet, a senior writer at Gumroad, where I deconstruct the tactics, strategies, and processes of top creators. Each week on the podcast, I interview creators and digital entrepreneurs who are at the top of their field. On this week's episode, I interviewed digital artist and independent creator Vegalia, who's blown up on TikTok and Instagram and created a series of super successful digital brush sets for Procreate, CSP, and Photoshop. Vegalia and I talked about digital art and products, partnering with other creators, and her mission to inspire creativity. We even got into anime and her Myers-Briggs personality type. I just loved this conversation. Enjoy. Our guest today is Vegalia. Vegalia, welcome to the Gumroad Podcast.
Hello, Justin. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for being here. There's so much to talk about with you and to tell your story to our audience. You're a digital artist, an independent creator, product creator, digital product creator, a magical human, queen of the stars. And I love your personality on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, which you've taken by storm in recent months. And there's so many themes that we could pursue, including digital art, your brush sets, copyright, commissioning other artists, and all of the things that you have done on social media and with photography. But I sort of wanted to start by sort of setting the context for the last few years of your journey and sort of reaching back all the way to the beginning of what you were naturally drawn to, which is art. And yet you were discouraged, I understand, by your counselor in high school from pursuing art full time as a career. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to sort of have you reflect on that, and then your two different majors in college, marketing and product design, and where that's sort of taken you after that.
Yes, so in high school, I was discouraged by my high school counselor because I took a lot of business classes, a lot of business clubs, and he said, yeah, I don't think art is what you should be pursuing. You should be pursuing marketing, business. It's more practical. And at that time, I was looking at Savannah College of Art and Design and all these other art schools, and I'm like, I guess this is time for me to get more realistic and become more of an adult, so I guess I won't pursue any of that. So I was fortunate enough to get a full ride scholarship to Iowa State, and that's where I studied marketing for the first year. And then I realized I don't want to actually study business because the business courses were actually really not fun for me. It was way too practical, and I'm not the very need to follow all the rules business person. So I didn't pursue that. I studied product design instead, which was called industrial design at Iowa State. And I had a focus on fashion design. So I studied in London and Sweden for my study abroad program and learned all about sustainability and research and development and creating products that people actually need instead of what you think they need. So that's what I graduated with. And at the end, I was like, I don't want to really pursue product design the way that I studied in school. So when I graduated, I pursued photography instead. And I did that for about 3 years. And recently I left my photography position because I actually worked for a corporation. And now I am pursuing all these different business ventures and actually am doing product design, but in a digital way, which wasn't really a thing back when I was studying it in school. Digital products were not something we even were talking about unless it was like game design.
Yeah. Discouraging you from art is like cutting Michael Jordan from the basketball team or something like that. I mean, given what you're doing now, it's just exploded, and it's wonderfully creative and imaginative. I know that you look to inspire others to be imaginative, but I want to dive down into one deeper level of detail, which is, I think in October of 2020 is when you really started to rocket on TikTok with your designs. And it took you something like 5 hours to do the braids on one of your designs. So how did that give you inspiration for a digital product idea?
So that was during the month of Blacktober, which is coming up really soon, which I have a lot of projects coming up for that I'm excited about. But Blacktober is a month where Black creators can express themselves fully and feel like they're more represented. So they create characters that are more Black centric. So when I did that, I was creating a character from a popular show that I really liked. And I drew her hair in braids because that's a very typical style for Black people. And I did not realize how long it was going to take to do micro braids. But it took me about 5 hours to draw.
Was this an anime character?
Yes, it was inspired by Hinata Hyuga from Naruto.
Gotcha.
Which, yeah, I love Hinata, but that was way too much to do. So I was like, I never want to do that again. I wonder if there's a way that I can still draw all these characters beautifully, but not have to spend that much time on it, because I don't want people to stop drawing different Black features just because it's hard. So I researched different ways on how I could create something that would cut down on that time. So I looked into brushes, and I saw online there wasn't really great options. I downloaded some from other people. I'm like, I don't like these. I want to make something else. So I spent a couple months making them for myself. I never really thought about launching it to like the big public audience. So I made it for myself. I launched it in April and I had them ready in February, but I just was scared. I don't know. I thought no one was going to buy them. No one was going to want to see them. I go live a lot on TikTok, and I was telling my audience, I'm like, I guess I'll just like promote it really subtly. Like, I don't want to push in people's faces or whatever. And they're like, you need to slam it down their throats. You need to tell them you made these brushes and you need to buy it. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then I made a video saying like, I made these brushes. Here they are. You can get them here.
Oh, that was that really like sort of slapstick video that went super viral?
It was the first one that went viral was when I said sheesh. Sheesh was trending.
Yes,
It was
yes.
like sheesh, sheesh.
Yeah.
And no one on any other platform understood that, but on TikTok that was trending. So
Yeah, and it wasn't like now you have all these mega packs where you've got all the different textures and, you know, braids and curls and lashes and everything like that. So was this a much simpler set or pack at the time? And was it just the braids?
yes, it was just braids. It was just 20 different braids, and it was just 10 more realistic ones, like 5 cartoony ones, and then I have outline ones. So that one would be the one that is the blue color, which you can only see the blue if you like click a little bit further into my Gumroad account, but I mostly simplified all of it because Gumroad has a lot of features where you can simplify the different packs, because I used to have them all individual, but now I just group them together so it's easier for people to just purchase quickly.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of people sort of collect them into this mega pack once they have more and more content that they're producing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into what drives you creatively. You are playful. You want to inspire creativity with all of your social media engagement. But I think there's also a deeply serious side, it seems to me, that you want more people drawing people of color. Is that sort of, would you say that that is a simple way of expressing your mission?
Yes, I definitely want that, because there's been a lot of controversy in the last a long time, but ever since George Floyd was killed last year, that like changed my perspective on everything. And I was like, there's a lot of people in this world that don't create things for people like me, that don't see people like me as the same as them. So I was like, what can I do to change that? And how I know how to change the world is with art and representation and creating things that don't put people in a box and can show a different perspective. So that's a huge reason why I want people to draw people of color, especially Black people, in a positive light and not with stereotypes and not with a negative connotation, so that they can see Black people as being more positive and not thinking of harsh stereotypes. And this is not for like everyone thinks this way, but I'm trying to get to the people that are very like discriminatory. So that's why I created these brushes to have more representation. That's why I'm pursuing different things with creating books that have representation, creating like apps that have representation. I can't explain everything I'm doing right now, but there's a lot of things on the way that will make it feel like the world is less small, especially for Black people to be represented.
Yeah, and for those who haven't seen these Procreate and the CSP and the Photoshop brushes in action, they are incredibly powerful tools. I mean, they, like you said, they would save you hours and hours and hours, and they give
Mm-hmm.
you an infinite variety to sort of express yourself artistically. And so I think they are just a terrifically powerful thing that you've created in the universe. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about how you sort of parlayed this photography, 3 years of photography,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of gaining skills artistically with your photography into the digital art that you're creating these days. How do those two worlds marry?
Well, there's a lot of different things that I can do to marry them. Some of them I feel like is exposing what I'm planning on doing. But what I can say is that I know how to do different lighting really well. I know how to light different skin tones. I know how to see different things in a way that normal people might not. So when I'm doing different things like researching for my brush packs, that is a really big factor is photography and seeing the way things are lit or seeing the way things move. So I can take a picture of that and also interpret that as an artist and make that into a brush or make that into a picture in a different way that just a traditional artist or a digital artist might see.
And are you part of, I'm assuming, a vibrant artistic community of people who are constantly sharing information back and forth and presumably teaching each other all of these different skills? And I know you've partnered with various artists to help you show your brushes to actually bring and shine a light on their work as well. Can you talk about some of those relationships?
Yes, so I've made it a goal last year to find more people that were like me that wanted to pursue similar things, like building representation, creating things that were diverse and made you feel like you were represented. So I partnered with a lot of specifically Black artists, and we became kind of a little bit of a cohort in supporting each other and seeing which ways we can promote ourselves, seeing which ways we can share each other's work so that we can all be uplifted. So some of the projects I have moving forward are including a lot of them so that we can all be uplifted and all have representation and all feel like we're wanted. And also having them as a support base has been great for all of us, I believe, because then we feel like there's a little bit less pressure and we can all feel like, I don't know, we can all pursue art. Because I know being a full time artist now has inspired a lot of them to want to pursue art full time because not all of them are full time artists. But they have definitely helped me with my brushes and creating amazing art pieces so that they could push my brushes forward. And some of them don't even really want to get paid. And I'm like, I will pay you. And they're like, I don't want to get paid. They're like, I just want to support you. I'm like, you will get paid. And it's been amazing to have them create so much art for me just to put my work.
Yeah, I saw one of your reels. I don't, it was a while ago, but you had must have been 30 different pieces of art that people had produced or created with your brushes. And that must be so gratifying to see.
Yeah, especially if you go through my hashtag brush by Vegalia on Instagram, you'll be able to see a lot of different artists who have used my brushes. Not everyone tags me. Actually, my executive assistant right now that I have, she didn't tag me in her art when I first found her. I found her on the explore page and I saw it. I'm like, those are my braid brushes. And I messaged her, I'm like, are those my brushes? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, why? I'm like, because I really like it. You did a really good job. And so that was a big factor of me hiring her is because she knew how to use my brushes and she did it so well that she became my top affiliate, and that's how she became my assistant, because I knew she really understood my brand and what I wanted to do. And that's how I found literally almost everyone, is because they were using my brushes organically. They posted me on their stories, and I'm like, wow, that's really good. I want you to be my affiliate, and then eventually friends, and then working on projects collaboratively together. What I can say now is one of our projects is coming out in October, and I can't say much more than that because I told them they couldn't, so I can't share anything, but it's coming.
Alert to everyone in the audience to watch out for this in October. We will not ruin the surprise for all. How are you engaging and communicating the most with this community? Is it through the DMs on the various platforms? Is it on Slack or Discord? What's the best way for you that you've found to deepen these relationships?
I would say individually, the most on Instagram is the best way that I've communicated with people. I have a Discord, but not everyone knows how to use Discord, so that can be a little bit more challenging. But I do like Discord better because you can send better files and better like photo quality on there. But yeah, mostly Instagram. And then I do use the Gumroad affiliate email chain to tag all of them and say, like, here's my next launch, here's the brushes, here's what you can say to promote them, or what you can do. Here's someone who's very successful. So I might put like an affiliate that did really well in her work and show how well she did. So it can influence the others as well.
Yeah, it seems like such a win-win. Maybe you'll just do a follow-up question on affiliates. It's a great way to reward people for supporting you. Certainly a growth hack as well. What have you learned from using affiliates?
I learned that making people follow really strict rules is not the best way to go, but give them kind of guidelines and make them be able to do it their own way is really beneficial. Making them do it in their own art style is very beneficial, and not making it salesy towards their audiences. So how they would authentically use the products and show how they would do that. So for mine, the most successful ones show different varieties of how quickly you can get to different hairstyles, and that has been the most successful for them. Or they integrate it on all their platforms. Like if they have TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, they'll promote it across all platforms. And that is really beneficial too. Or to have the link in their bio, that really helps as well. And yeah, I think affiliates are not only great for marketing my brushes, but also, like I said, building relationships of support so that we don't stop becoming artists just because it is hard on social media.
Have you seen your brushes be used professionally? In other words, major animation studios and big time, big budget projects at this stage?
I feel like it's a little bit too early for that. People are just starting to figure out how to use them, and I still need to make a lot of tutorials on how to use them. So I definitely could see that in the future, because there's a lot of animation styles that I see that could easily use my brushes, and I think it would make their work look a lot cleaner for like how they represent curls. Like I just saw, I didn't watch it, but the Ellen show made a mini version of her, and they did it all in like kind of like a chalk Crayola kind of style. And the curl people, they all had like little ringlet curls, and I know that if they use my brushes, it'd probably look even cleaner.
Yeah. I have never made a Procreate brush, and I'm not a digital artist, but I am curious. It might seem for some people in our audience to be intimidating. Just how hard is it to create these Procreate brushes and Photoshop brushes?
Well, it depends on what kind you want to make. So for mine, they're more advanced brushes. There's a lot of different tweaking you have to do for them. But if you wanted to make a simple stamp brush for, say, your signature or like a heart, that is very simple to make. And there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube on how to do that. So if you want to learn how to do that, that's what I recommend people to do, because I don't see myself making a class for that unless it's on Skillshare or something that a lot of people would see it on. But I wouldn't put it on YouTube, because it would be like if Coca-Cola put their recipe out and they're like, here's how to make Coca-Cola. So I won't say how to make my brushes specifically, but stamp brushes are not hard. Braid brushes are a little bit on a medium side, and then curl brushes, I think, are more advanced because they're more textured. But brush making is really fun. It's just a lot of trial and error.
They are remarkable. I encourage everyone who is listening to go look at your TikTok and just see how beautiful they are. I just, yeah. And on that subject, it's very difficult to make these with that level of granularity and style and design. I saw one of your TikToks that was expressing discontent, to say the least, at someone ripping off your brushes, taking them as your own and as their own and trying to resell them. I know that must have been incredibly frustrating. You have, and on a separate but related subject, you have personal licenses, and you have commercial licenses, but that's for creating art with your brushes, which is distinct from someone just flat out reselling your brushes as their own. But just describe that experience and how it was resolved.
Yeah, so when I released my curl brushes, that was on June 19th for Juneteenth. And about 3 days later, someone else came out with curl brushes. And like, that's not possible because that's way too fast. I know how long this took to make. And I looked at it and I'm like, these look exactly like my brushes. And I showed some other people, they're like, yeah, they used even like the same layout of your brushes. And luckily, I was able to get it taken down by the Clip Studio Paint Assets store. And the person, they're from a different country. They're like, oh, I thought I could trace them and it'd be fine, but I guess it's not. I'm like, you're not supposed to trace anyone's artwork. That's a big no-no. Like if you make your own curl brushes, fine, but you don't trace someone else's to make your own. And luckily it was taken down and they never put it up again. And it happened again on Etsy, which Etsy has a really bad takedown policy. You have to go through a lot of hoops and you can't even email them to get it taken down. They're like, you need to hire a lawyer or something or talk to them directly.
Wow.
But there's this person on Etsy that keeps on putting up my brushes directly with my pictures, with the commissions I got, with my audience's work, and they sell it. And they've done it 4 times already. And each time I have to message them directly and they'll take it down, but there's nothing I can do right now through Etsy to get it taken down through their system so that they can like block this person entirely because all their work is stolen. So it is annoying, but luckily I've been able to take it down for everyone because I do have copyright over my brushes. Like my lawyer said, anything that you create, you have copyright over it in the US because that's how our laws work. And if you want to get a trademark for it, you can, but it's just redundant. And someone that is trying to steal your brushes cannot say that they didn't know because you have the patterns already laid out. So they would just be lying and you could easily get that taken down in court.
Yeah, I was going to ask about whether or not your products were formally copyrighted. Was that a costly and onerous process to go through and lengthy, or just describe that, characterize it for us?
So my lawyer said I didn't have to go through formal copywriting because it's already automatically copyrighted. And he's a lawyer that he makes like billions of dollars every year, but he said you don't have to get it formally copyrighted unless you really want to. But since your brushes are so unique and they have the pattern and they have your name on them, and you have all this back history of people buying it in the reviews, it's so easy to prove that case as guilty for that person who's trying to copy you.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I have a question that's more personal in nature. I saw you post at some point that you're a Myers-Briggs INTP.
Oh,
And
you dug deep.
I went ahead and looked that up. And it's pretty remarkable because I've been sort of channeling your personality, and the 5 words that INTP that describe an INTP is analytical, open-minded, curious, original, and objective. An INTP happens to be a pretty rare personality type. I think
Yeah.
2 to 5% of human beings are INTP. And so I'm wondering whether or not that particular personality type, which is sort of more thoughtful and introspective, produces better creators.
I mean, it might. I think that Einstein was INTP, but I'm not trying to compare myself to Einstein. I do think about things a lot. I overthink about a lot of different aspects, especially like when it comes to my brushes. How am I going to market it? How am I going to represent people? What am I going to say on Twitter? Is that going to be taken the wrong way? All right, let's not post that. There's so many tweets that I delete because I know people are not going to take it that right way because I can be sarcastic, but I know that can't be taken the right way sometimes online. But I do analyze how I'm going to represent everything I put out online. And everything that I make right now has a purpose. But yeah, for anime characters, Psyche K is an INTP, and he's very like, if he doesn't like someone, he won't say he doesn't like them. He just will kind of ignore them. So that's kind of how I pursue my online persona. If I don't like what someone said about me, you just kind of ignore them, you block them, and that's how I'm able to keep a lot of my peace and my sanity when I'm creating online, because it can be a lot to get a ton of comments, especially some that are like, digital art isn't real, these are way too easy, art's all going to be fake, and when they don't understand the true purpose of it. So
You brought up anime again, and I am an anime zero. I don't know anything about it. So I'm curious. I just want you to educate me. Let's go down a rabbit hole. Like, what, just give our audience members like me a
mhm.
window into that world.
Well, I've liked anime ever since I was like 10 years old, and I watched it on Cartoon Network because Toonami was a thing, and they showed anime like Naruto, Sailor Moon, and I initially pursued social media to start an anime brand, like a clothing company or something, and then I looked into the logistics of it and licensing. I'm like, I don't want to do this illegally. I want to sell it like officially. I want to get the license for it. So in the future, that'd be amazing if I could still get a license to sell anime merchandise. But that's been a huge inspiration for a lot of the things I do too. If you don't know anime, Naruto is probably it's one of the most popular ones, and the main character in the show, he's a misfit. He doesn't really fit in because he has this thing inside him that everyone hates. It's a long story, but his main goal is that he wants to become the Hokage, and he'll do anything possible to get to that goal. And he will pursue his friends even if they don't want to be pursued. If they're depressed and they're going down the wrong path, he'll still pursue them. He'll still make it to the top because he is the best and he believes in himself even when everyone else doesn't. And so anime has been a really big inspiration for me to never give up, even though it's cheesy because they're not real. But it's been a big factor in me pursuing things like art again and never giving up even when people don't believe in you. And I wish that I took that advice a little bit sooner. I know my mom kept saying, like, you should pursue art. But I'm like, no, no, no. But I'm glad eventually I got on the path back to doing art again.
Yeah, it seems like anime is a great combination of your interests, which are, the plot line of it on the one hand and the art,
Hmm.
which is just it seems to be an incredibly imaginative and creative universe.
Hmm. Yeah, and part of my mission was to create more representation within the cartoon and anime space for Black and Brown people. And now it's more towards cartoon because I don't believe that anime will ever get to the point where it's pursuing a lot of brown characters because it is a Japanese cartoon. But I do think cartoons still need a lot of brown representation. So that's my goal now, is to create more representation for that side of things, because that side of me will never go away. So that's why I keep on producing like anime content, anime memes. I just posted one with me going into an anime universe for Demon Slayer, which is an anime based off of people pursuing slaying demons. It's a really good anime if you're just joining anime. A lot of people like it, but yeah, if you ever need recommendations, I can definitely get you some starter ones that aren't weird, that aren't like crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a note, and we will add your recommendations for maybe 3 to 5 shows in the show notes.
All right.
I want to potentially use our remaining time talking about how you think about your business. So what you do, your work, how you're transforming your work, your passion into a business.
Mm-hmm.
Several months ago, I saw you message that you don't have a team. There was some reel or something that you put up there that said, I don't have a team. I believe you do now. You have an executive assistant at least. So looking forward, like sort of present to looking to the future, how do you plan to architect the people around you into a business?
Yeah, that's the part that has been more difficult for me, is delegating everything and not doing everything myself and giving trust away to people. But yeah, having an executive assistant has really helped me like prioritize what needs to get done, what can be done by someone else. And I do plan on hiring a lot of different artists. I love working with artists and seeing their creativity. So I guess that is part of my team, even though they're not full time, is hiring different artists. So I've already hired like 10 different artists to do different things across all the different ventures I want. And the collaboration that I have coming out in October, that's with 14 different people. And that was crazy to organize, but it all is turning out really well. And putting creatives at the forefront of my business is going to be top priority for me, because I always want to be creative, and I also always want to be creating, because business is just the part that makes me money. But what I'm passionate about is the art side. And promoting it is something that I'm good at, but not something that I always want to do. So that's why I will build out teams to help me promote my products when I don't want to promote it myself, because I want to be the creative person. But in the future, yeah, definitely hiring a lot of creatives, maybe marketing ads person. And I definitely want a newsletter person as well. But just thinking of things that I'm not the best at, and that's what I'm going to hire.
I think you might be greater than 500,000 followers here by the time you launch your collaboration next month.
Maybe on TikTok.
Yeah. Just a final question from me. You posted a bunch of New Year's resolutions 34 weeks ago.
Wow.
And I have,
How much research did you do?
I've listed them out here. How do you, so here they are. Start a comic series, teach an art class, start investing, start my business, sell out of my products, get an apartment with huge windows. Any of those stand out to you?
The comic thing, I didn't realize how much work that would take. I don't know if I'm ever going to pursue like a huge comic, but it'll definitely create mini comics, because I already created characters this year, so I guess that counts. I created 4 original characters. I want to introduce them more once I finally release my animated music video, which I was supposed to launch. You probably saw on my YouTube page if you researched me, in June. But things with the brushes just took off, so I had to stop that for now. Apartment with large windows, still looking into that. I can afford it now. So definitely something that I could do by the end of the year. Sell out of products. Well, since I created a digital one, there's no sell out of the products, but I've sold a lot. So I would say that is a goal. If I had a product line, that would be way more than I would have sold out of. So yeah, there's no products I'm coming out with this year that could sell out. So
yeah, build once, sell twice, sell infinitely. Well, Vegalia, this has been such a terrific conversation. I really appreciate you joining here. We could talk for hours, but we have to keep these episodes snappy and efficient and info rich at 30 minutes. So let me turn it over to you for any final comments that you might have and any launches that might be upcoming.
Well, I do have a launch on September 2nd. It is going to be something related to the season. Really excited for that, because a lot of people will have a need for it. So that's all I can say right now, but I'm really excited for it. Thank you for listening to this. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me at By Vegalia on all social media. I'm on almost all the platforms. So
awesome.
See you there.
Thanks for your time, Vegalia. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.